Great, everybody. Welcome. It's wonderful to see you all. Welcome to our first of two virtual information meetings on the Southwest Sustainability Innovation Engine. My name is Ann Richmond. I'm director of ASU's Sustainable Cities Network and Project Cities program, and I also chair the Southwest Sustainability Innovation Engine, or SWSIE as we know it, managerial and municipal work group. And I'll be starting off our meeting today. While we're waiting, we will go over a few housekeeping items. And of course, those of you that are just joining us, please put your name, title, and organization in the chat as our unofficial sign-in. So next slide. Great. So just a few housekeeping items and reminders. If you can, this is in meeting setting, not webinar. So if you can keep yourself on mute, that would be great so that we can limit distractions, particularly during the presentation portion. Feel free to use your raise hand function following the presentations. If you have a question, we'll also be accepting questions in the chat that we can go through after the presentation is over. We do have a couple of people in the background, Layla and Bryce, that can assist with any tech support issues. So feel free to send them a chat if you're having any issues. If your connection lags and you have your video on, we just recommend that you turn your video off, and oftentimes that will help alleviate that problem. Following the presentation, we will provide the PowerPoint slides, the resources, contact information, and that in an email as a follow-up. And we hope to have the recording of the presentation available a few days after that. So rest assured that you'll get some follow-up following the presentation. Next slide. Great, so this is our agenda for today, and the purpose of our virtual session is to provide communities and other types of organizations and businesses with an introductory information to this unique innovation engine, which is specific to the Southwest. In today's meeting, we'll provide you with the background on the engine, its goals and anticipated outcomes, and how different types of stakeholders in the Southwest are engaging with the engine and how you can engage with the engine as a potential partner. We're trying to spread the word about SWSIE, and so when you hear the acronym, you'll know what it means. But more importantly, we're trying to make connections to create regional collaboration, coordination, and momentum around innovation and workforce development. So as you can see by the agenda, we'll switch over to our introduction here shortly with Mike Kelly, who is he's in charge of our SWSIE partnerships. And then I will provide some background on community engagement in SWSIE, and then we will have kind of a closeout at the very end. So next slide. And just a brief introduction of who we are. We're kind of going to go through the lineup here, but for those of you that aren't familiar with me, I'm Ann Richmond. I'm director of Arizona State University's Sustainable Cities Network and Project Cities program. SCN, or the network, or the Sustainable Cities Network, depending on what you call us, is an education and outreach program under the ASU Global Futures Laboratory. It's been convening communities in Arizona on sustainability-related topics since 2009. So we've been helping make connections and collaborations for the last 16 years, and we do that through a series of work groups on sustainability-related topics. It's a free voluntary network, so a really low barrier of entry for our sustainability practitioners at the city, county, and tribal community levels. And we're really about connecting communities, advancing sustainability, and cultivating solutions. And so I had got involved with SWSIE because I am the municipal and managerial work group chair, and we're trying to kick off a work group so that we can get more communities engaged with the engine and sharing opportunities with economic development, innovation, and workforce development. So we look forward to you joining us. I'm going to kick it over to Bryce so she can introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bryce Nelson. I'm the program manager for SWSIE here at University of Utah. I'm really excited to see all of you. And this picture of me, I just realized is actually of me in Arizona. So yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, good to be here.
Great, thank you. And we'll go to Layla next.
Hi everyone, I'm Leila Ahmed Sheikh. I am the SWSIE Graduate Research Assistant here at the University of Utah, and I'm pursuing a master's in geography, and I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Layla, for your support too. Mike.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Kelly. I work at Arizona State University in corporate engagement and strategic partnerships. And part of my role is to help partners join SWSIE and engage and figure out how they can engage with the engine. And I'm happy to be here to give an overview of our work to date. Thanks, Ann.
Absolutely. And so we'll get started with our presentation. If you want to go to the next slide, and we'll address, as I mentioned, questions at the end of the presentation with Mike. So if you can put your questions in the chat, that would be great. We've received just a lot of questions from all different types of stakeholders as to what is SWSIE? What does that stand for? What are we doing? And how can various groups get engaged with the engine? And so at this point, I'd like to hand it over to Mike so he can provide that background and kind of the various ways that the engine is innovating and also engaging with different sectors. Mike, take it away.
Thanks, Ann. Great to be here and happy to talk about the engine. We are the Southwest Sustainability Innovation Engine. And our footprint is the three states in the Southwest. That's Utah, Nevada, and Arizona. So our hope is to provide impact across the three states. You'll notice our logo is the Southwest quadrant of the compass to represent our far-reaching footprint. Next slide, please. So this is a new program funded by the National Science Foundation. It's a new model for them. They launched and funded 10 engines starting in early 2024. So we're just now 1 year old. Each engine is for place-based innovation across the country. And here in the Southwest, we won the award for sustainability innovation. So what we're trying to do is to innovate across the three states and address the challenges around sustainability that we're facing. You can follow us on LinkedIn. We'd love you to follow us on LinkedIn, and we are listed there as it shows on the bottom of the screen. You'll find us as NSF Engines, Southwest Sustainability Innovation Engine. Next slide. These are the 7 core partners that are the foundation of our engine. These organizations came together to write the proposal that was eventually funded. Since we launched in March of 2024, we have added another 100 or so partner organizations to help us advance in our mission, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. Our partners are big businesses in the region, startups in the region, accelerators, incubators, nonprofits, also investors, and lots of local governments. There is not a fee to be a partner in the engine. Rather, we want organizations who partner with us to give us their time and their talent and help us. And I'll go through some different strategies as to how partners are engaging. Next slide, please. This is the mission and the vision of the engine. So it is a 10-year program, and we are hoping to make the American Southwest known as a worldwide leader in critical deep tech innovation. That's a big vision. It's a bold vision. And our mission is highly detailed. You can see there, but I will point out the words in bold. We want to create an economic, thriving region that is known for innovating in energy, water, and air. So we're convening our partners to help us advance this, this area for innovation. Next slide. These are the metrics of the engine that we proposed we could achieve in 10 years. And you can see the focus on creating a strong, thriving economy despite the economic challenges. So upskilled employees, new green jobs, and economic output and tax revenue. We also get to report the impact that we're making across the region. And impact is it's an open definition. So each engine gets to define what the impact is. So we're working with our partners to identify how the engine is impacting them. So those partners who have joined us, and if any of you join us, will help us to be able to define what that impact is. These are the 4 core areas of research and development in the engine. They're energy, air, the built environment, and water. Each one of these is a distinct working group that provides an opportunity for representatives from our partner organizations to come to the table in virtual meetings and to discuss a strategy to transform that sector across the 3 states. Even though they are distinct working groups that have their own meeting schedule and cadence and a strategy development, we know that some of these innovations impact multiple sectors here. So the co-leads of these groups do meet regularly to also make sure that those implications are considered. So in each of these, there's an opportunity for partner representatives to join us and to share their insight and their challenges so that we can create a holistic, innovative approach to that sector. Next slide. The engine is focused around the life cycle of innovation. So we start with research and development. What are the greatest technologies out there that can benefit us here in the Southwest? And this is where our research working groups that I just had listed are all sitting within the engine. So they're looking at the latest and greatest technologies that are available around the world and also within the region to identify the best strategies we have to address the goals that have been set. Our translation sector of the engine is a series of partners that are helping those innovations that were identified through research and development get to the marketplace. So we have accelerators and incubators, investors, pilot projects, all kinds of things happening in translation to help these innovations get deployed across the region. While that's happening, we also have a keen focus on workforce development, ensuring that the workforce is trained in innovation so that when those new technologies hit the market, the workforce is available and trained in that sector. And we're also focused on regional engagement, making sure that we're hitting across all 3 states, including the rural areas, the tribal nations, and underserved populations. So this is a vast ecosystem that we're bringing together because we know the challenges are so great and the goals are so big that we need a lot of organizations to help us. So this is the life cycle of innovation that the engine is implementing and following. And on the next slide, please. This is how the engine is structured. So you see the life cycle of innovation, and the red bulleted items are all of the working groups. These are opportunities for our partner representatives to join us and help us develop a strategy to achieve the goals over the 10 years. The green bullets I'll just mention, those are staff functions at the universities and the 7 core members. So I sit in partner engagement. And then I'll also point out that under regional engagement for system transformation, envisioning, and mapping, those are mostly internally focused working groups that are taking all of the work of the other working groups and making sure that we're considering the regional and the entire system outside of, just the maybe the one area where an idea came from. On the next slide, following the same life cycle of innovation, here are some of the strategies that the engine is already implementing and pursuing. So those strategies are in bold and numbered. And then there are several examples in each of these strategies of things that the engine is already doing, projects and initiatives we're already pursuing. So for example, under workforce, obviously training is a big component of that. And we have several examples there of how we're providing training across the region. Soon, the Sustainability Cities Network will be listed here as a strategy because we do want to expand that beyond Arizona into Utah and Nevada to create a larger, stronger, more robust ecosystem. Next slide, please. Sorry about that. I have a distraction over here. But now I wanted to go through some examples that the engine has already pursued. The first is from our research and development section of the life cycle, and it's about atmospheric water harvesting. So our water innovation group has identified AWH as an innovation that can help our region's water security issues. So this is an existing technology that has found a place to thrive in other parts of the world, but really hadn't taken off here in the Southwest. So early in 2024, the engine convened the first international AWH summit. We brought together experts from around the world and others who are interested in this technology for thought leadership, to learn about it, to find opportunities to deploy it in the region. A result of that was a new professional association was launched in June of last year, the International Atmospheric Water Harvesting Association. So the engine can support this activity, can further the development of this innovation, and help address our water issues across. We've had the second summit already. It was last month. So this work will continue, but this is an example of one way the engine can foster an idea, a technology that has been that has gone through our one of our research working groups. Next slide. This is another example but this one is from our energy working group, and this is a pilot project. So this is an example of the pilot project strategy. It's about long duration energy storage. CM Blue is a German company that has its technology for 4-hour battery storage deployed across Europe. They wanted to penetrate the US market. So the engine helped them partner with SRP, Arizona's local utility, and we're piloting a 12-hour energy storage in the hopes that we can collect enough sunlight during the day through solar and then use that to run our AC units and other things throughout the night. So this is in pilot right now, and we're waiting to see, how it can be proven out. Another interesting component of this project is that we've included our community college partner in the state of Arizona, Maricopa County Community College District, and they have developed and launched a long duration energy storage curriculum so that students are being trained while this is in pilot. So when it's been proven to work here, there will be a workforce available and trained and knowledgeable about this new innovation. So this is a second strategy of how the engine can support piloting great technologies here in our region. Next slide. This is a third example of a success in the engine, and this is about Waiver Incorporated. Waiver is a startup company. So this is part of our translation support services. And what happened, this company happens to be a water harvesting technology. So a professor at UNLV invented a device that pulls water out of the air. The engine, because that is a strategy and an innovation that has been vetted by our water working group. The engine supported this technology by incubating the business, finding investors to buy into it, and recruiting C-suite leadership to lead the company. It's now an established business that's hiring people and working to deploy across the region. So another example of how the engine is supporting the startup community and moving forward towards our goals of addressing sustainability challenges. One more example to share on the next slide. This is from our workforce development working group. They have established a sustainable workforce challenge right now. Through our partner network, we identified quite a good inventory of training programs that are address some component of sustainability. And we have loaded them all into ASU's Career Catalyst. That's an online learning system. And through the end of April, these programs, these courses are free for any partner organization. And so the strategy here is showing that the engine, through its partner network, can train people at scale across the region. So this is a great opportunity to engage. There's a QR code there that you can scan to access the catalog. And you'll see when you do that, there is a discount code that wipes out the fee. The courses are available for free through the end of April, but they don't have to be completed by the end of April. They just have to be checked out by the end of April. So you could check out a course in April and take it in May or June without paying the fee. If you try to check it out in May or June, there will be a fee. Next slide. So you can see that the engine is addressing big problems and has big goals. And we need to do it quickly because of the climate challenges that we're facing. And we're trying to do it at scale across the region. So to do that, we need partners. We need organizations across the 3 states and beyond that can help us think through the latest technologies, translate them into the environment, into the marketplace, and also consider the workforce needs that those innovations will have. So this is an opportunity for any organization to join us and help us advance towards our mission. The engine wants to support organizations in ways that make sense for the organization. We want to be additive to your mission. We want to collaborate and find ways that if you're facing sustainability challenges, how can the engine work with you and reduce obstacles and barriers through our partner network and through our research and development to help advance. So I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions. Feel free to unmute, raise your hand, or drop it in the chat.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, if anybody has any questions at this point. Yes, Shelley.
Yeah, this is very exciting. So my question is, the cities and counties in Arizona that have climate action plans, and let's say, I'm just making this up because I don't have the details, but let's say, Tempe has a plan to reduce their carbon emissions down to, net zero emissions by 2035. But the utilities that service their communities have a longer range goals. And I guess in my mind, how do these cities work with SWSIE to meet their own goals with the, how shall I say, with the barrier of having the monopoly utility structure kind of limit what they can do on their own, because they can't go out and buy power or build their own transmission lines. I mean, they can become a municipal power, but it's not particularly practical. So I'd just love to hear Michael's thoughts on that, if he has any thoughts on how might a city participate.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So one way, and we do have several cities across the 3 states that have already joined us. So one thing that we're seeing is that within the energy working group, these discussions are happening, but they're only happening because there are city representatives in those working groups, right? So, and the utilities are across the 3 states are members of those working groups also. So they're forming relationships and talking and strategizing about how to work through that. It's obviously a big challenge, right? So, but we know that we need to discuss and we need to know each other to be able to work through the challenge. So that's one way it's happening. And then, Anne, I don't know if you want to talk about, could you talk about the SCN and how maybe some of the work is addressed through that
Well,
vehicle?
yeah, certainly through the Sustainable Cities Network, we have the various work groups, of course, where we're able to engage on a lot of those topics and then have the utilities present information and some discussion as far as how to alleviate some of the issues. It's an information sharing forum, so I see the SWSIE actually as one of those like key mechanisms where you're going to have more direct contact with the participating utilities, but also engaging more directly on some of these challenges specifically. So one can help the other as I see it. But you're right, there are very challenging questions and issues, and they do take a lot of thought and time to overcome. So hopefully this is a good starting process for many of those issues. Yes.
Like Robert Cook has a question.
And Robert, can you?
I was just unmuting. Thank you. And thank you, Mike, and everyone for doing this. I'm a Pima County Planning Commissioner and involved in the Greater Tucson Climate Coalition. And so I'm at the intersection of public sector and advocacy groups working on climate issues. And what I would like to know is how can the engine help us with the elephant in the room? And the elephant in the room is public opinion, advocacy, and making and scaling this up. Our book club just read Climate Capitalism, and it's very clear that the key ingredient here is not just entrepreneurs, innovation, and financial backing, but also public sector participation. And what we find is that our local governments, our state governments, our federal governments only work when there is political pressure. And how can we use this engine to engage our communities much more effectively? You're absolutely right. Our timeline is very short in getting this job done. So I would like to see some dimension of this initiative addressed to advocacy and how to increase the effectiveness of advocacy. Yeah, that's my question and my appeal.
Robert, Anne, do you want to talk about advocacy through the SCN or some other?
Well, actually, SCN can't advocate because as part of the university, so we're more of an education and outreach mechanism. So Mike, I don't know if you can speak to that as part of SWSIE and the engagement through the engine specifically.
Yeah, so that's a very good point about advocacy, but the engine does want to bring organizations together and remove barriers to relationships. So you'll see, and we'll mention here in a moment, lots of events that we're supporting and participating in, lots of relationship building amongst our partners. I didn't mention, but the 3 state governments are partners of the engine. So there is an opportunity to engage with the governor's offices, for example, in the 3 states. And as far as, raising awareness amongst the general population, we all have to do that, right? All of our partners need to be doing that. So any way that the engine can help broadcast that, we're open to exploring how to do that and how to reach the people that need to be reached.
Yeah, I don't think my question was how does the engine actually advocate or do advocacy, but how does it support advocacy? And I think you used the word communications. I think communications would be a category that could be expanded as a function of the engine, because I think skilling up groups, all of us need to communicate better, obviously. Look where we are. So I think that would be within the educational purview to do that. And I just say this because I think we're all asking this question: how do we address our publics more effectively?
Mhm.
do appreciate your comment and your feedback. And one thing we have learned in the engine in our first year is we need to be telling our story in a more clear, more applicable to everyday life. Because John Q. Citizen walking down the street doesn't really get, when we talk about air water or water harvesting, for example, right? So that has been identified within the engine, and we will be working more aggressively on that. And I mean, we've already started doing that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Robert. There are a couple questions in the chat that we can ask before moving on. One is from Carnell. Which community colleges are you working with, and how can we learn more related to workforce development? Do you want to expand a little bit on that, Mike?
Absolutely. Maricopa County Community College District is a partner. So is the Salt Lake City Community College system. Those are the two main ones right now. To engage with them, just let me know and I can connect you. The Workforce Development Committee is led by two folks. One is from the Maricopa Community College system. They do meet regularly, and they are looking. They started last year by working on a landscape of analysis of understanding the educational components throughout the three states, and now they're moving more into addressing gaps, adding capacity, adding capability. So this is a great time to join. If you have interest, just let us know and we'll connect you.
And Krista has a question in the chat. Any direct air capture project new information to share out?
I'm trying to think of what's new in our direct air capture. This is a big chunk of the engine, innovations for air capture. I'm gonna have to follow. We're gonna have to follow up as it relates to what's new and exciting in that area of the engine. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head.
Great, thank you. Okay, Charlie, we're going to move on and then we're going to take your question after the next few slides, if that's okay. Great. Okay, so Bryce, if you want to go ahead and move on. Go to the next slide, I think. Yeah, so just to reinforce what Mike had mentioned with regards to the stakeholders, we're interested in reaching and basically engaging with the engine it's a very broad stakeholder and partnership base. So you can see all the different levels of organizations. Certainly, we're trying to build an ecosystem to promote the innovation and sustainability across the region. So a lot of the organizations we're starting with are starting points, but we know there are so many more out there that we could be engaging on that. And so I want to reinforce all the different groups. So for example, from my vantage point with communities, that includes cities, towns, tribal nations, counties. We mentioned the state organizations. SWSIE offers opportunities for those groups to be at the heart of innovation. They also know their businesses and startups best, what exists and what needs support. So having them as part of that business ecosystem is really important because as we know, small, medium, large communities thrive on economic development. So having them as part of the engine really can support those new and up and coming businesses working to create more jobs and also provide more localized training and workforce development. So communities are just very key, I think, and center to SWSIE. But then you've also got educational institutions, naturally the three main university partners, ASU, University of Utah, UNLV, or the grant recipients, but there are many other types of educational institutions that we want to partner with. Community colleges have been mentioned, but also the trades and the apprenticeship programs. Vocational training programs are critical specifically to a lot of the energy, water, and air professions that might be associated with innovations. I hear a lot in my circle as far as we don't have enough water conservation coordinators. We don't have enough water treatment operators, those kind of things that build on and are related to some of these different sectors. So those are all opportunities I think that the engine can further work on in relation to workforce development. We also have businesses. I think that's a given when it comes to startups, entrepreneurs, tech companies. We want to make sure those have ample opportunities to tap into a lot of the people and the resources and programs that are available through all the partners within the engine. You never know what they're going to need. So I think having a large circle is very important to building their capacity. Utilities, as was mentioned, are front and center for being, I guess, involved when it comes to energy, water specifically, and they are economic drivers generally in local environments. Nonprofits as well. You, as nonprofit organizations, know your constituents best. You also know which ones are underserved and could benefit from many of these workforce development opportunities. So having you and your perspectives as part of this ecosystem is vital. And then, of course, that leads to the funding component of it. Funders will help a lot of these startups and trainings take place, and they have the resource, the financial to get things off the ground and moving ahead as far as pilots, and then scalability of a lot of these innovative technologies. And so having all of these people and partners at the table is critical. I think the SWSIE engine is a 10-year time cycle, and so we want to make sure that everyone has plenty of opportunity to join at different interjection points for the engine. Next slide. And so we have mentioned some of the community opportunities, for example, the workforce development piece of it. This is the flyer, and we'll provide that again as a follow-up. If you have any friends, family, employees that want a leg up in their position, want to learn about sustainability, greenhouse gas emissions inventory, all different kinds of things related to water, circular economy, and so forth. This is a great opportunity to do it for free, and they get a digital badge as part of that, so they can actually put it on their LinkedIn profile and their resume as well. Mike, do you want to speak to how to become a SWSIE partner?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Ann. So I mentioned before, there's no fee to join. What we want is we want partners to engage. We want partners to engage with us in ways that make sense for the partner. So if your organization is interested, just reach out to me. I'll explain the process and the benefits and the expectations, and then help connect you to the parts of the engine that align with what you're trying to achieve. And there's my email address right on the screen, so feel free to reach out.
Mike's also a wealth of information for connections too, so he can help you in a variety of different respects. As mentioned, SWSIE has various working groups. As mentioned, air, energy, water, and of course, we'll be starting the municipal work group. So please reach out to myself or Mike if you have an interest in participating in any of those. And then also Sustainable Cities Network is always open to having outside new groups and individuals participate. As many of you know, it's a great way to get to know various partners, learn information, but also just share best practices. So from an Arizona standpoint, we welcome others outside of the state to participate with us, and we'll share more details on that. And Mike, do you want to share a little bit, I guess, as far as which community local leader, like which community partners are currently engaged, so folks have an idea by sector, like who's might already be at the table?
Sure. So for cities, we have the city of Chandler, Cottonwood Heights, Phoenix, South Jordan, Utah, Salt Lake City, and Las Vegas. And then the 3 state governors' offices I mentioned, and then Clark County, Nevada, and the Utah. No, I think that's everybody. That's everybody so far.
Great. So there's more room for more to participate for sure as well. Okay, great. Next slide.
I did just want to highlight a few upcoming events that the engine is supporting. So on March 19th, there is a workforce convening talking about regional collaboration. So I believe Anne's going to include this specifically as a call out to everybody who's in attendance, because we know that you're all focused on workforce development. So this is a virtual meeting on March 19th. Which will be a good introduction to what they're doing in the workforce development group. On April 16th, it's going to be here in Tempe. There's a new American Future of Work and Innovation Economy Summit. I know that it's noon to 5, but the registration is not open yet, and I don't have the details other than it will be in person and in Tempe. And then in May, we're going to be holding an innovation summit in Las Vegas. And what we're going to be doing at this event is we recently, we're in the process of announcing 8 startup tech companies that we're funding. They offer an innovative solution around water, energy, or air. We'll be introducing them at the summit and exploring with everybody in attendance about the potential that those innovations have for our region. It will be in Las Vegas. It will be in person, and registration is not open yet, but it will be soon. And we'll email that out to our partners and stakeholders, and we'll also put that on our LinkedIn page. Which, as a reminder, you can follow us on LinkedIn. We're under NSF Engines, Southwest Sustainability Innovation Engine, and our website is SWSIE.ASU.edu. So you can find information and current news and updates at either of those.
Great, thank you. It looks like we want to have time for a couple of questions before we close out. And I know we didn't get to Charlie. So Charlie, if you are still on and would like to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. This is a great presentation. For the atmospheric water harvested, I saw that you're working, like SRP is working with that. Does that mean the water ties into SRP, or like, and I guess like a bigger question is like, when you do projects, is it like the community partners you work with that determine, like, I don't know, if you're conserving water, making water available to people, do they like decide who gets the water that you're harvesting?
That's a great question.
Uh-huh.
So the pilot projects that we do, the scope is clearly defined in the beginning, and it is developed by the stakeholder partners who participate in that project. So yes, SRP would be involved if it was a specific pilot project that they were involved in. But remember, we're working across the 3 states. So by being in the engine and participating and engaging in discussion, organizations have an opportunity to represent themselves and participate in these projects too. So it just depends who wants to step forward on any specific pilot or technology.
Super. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I was
Great.
also going to add, sorry, to that answer, that at like the atmospheric water harvesting event and then at a SWSIE sponsored event that we had here, there's a lot of really interesting discussions about water rights, right? And who gets to be involved in those conversations. And I think that's a really exciting aspect of SWSIE, is coming to these events and getting to hear folks contribute to those questions, because honestly, I don't know that any of like the atmospheric water researchers are necessarily thinking about like water rights, right? They're thinking about how do we retrieve this water and store it and clean it. So yeah, it's really cool to hear those conversations.
That's an excellent point, because just having those diverse voices and participants really bring light to some of these questions that you need to address early on as opposed to later in the process. So making sure everybody's at the table to begin with is always, I think, a very helpful step, and can lead to, I think, greater success for sure. There is an additional question in the chat from Shelley regarding if SWSIE is engaged with AZ Cleantech and the Arizona Commerce Authority. And Mike, you probably can speak to that.
Yes, both are partners in the engine, and they participate in our working groups and attend our events and help further our mission. So yeah, both are engaged.
And also the CEO of SWSIE, Brian Sherman, formerly was with the Arizona Commerce Authority, I believe. So there is that
Yes.
connection too.
Yep.
As well. Great. Okay. So Bryce, can you go to the next slide? So here is the contact information for Mike and myself, and we will include that in the follow-up information. We strongly encourage you to reach out to us if you have an interest in partnering or getting involved, learning more about a specific aspect. Certainly, we're happy to answer questions. We may not have all the answers, but we'll do our best to get you the answer, the best answer we can, for sure. And obviously, if you have businesses and other organizations you think we should approach about the SWSIE involvement, please send those to us, because we're happy to make that connection too. And feel free to share SWSIE information with us or with others. And also, follow us to the LinkedIn page and make sure you connect with us there. And also, we would like to make sure that we get feedback from you. Here is a QR code and also a link to just a very, very brief survey asking about this particular meeting, if it was helpful, if you'd like additional information or connection with SWSIE. So if you could just take a moment following this particular meeting and fill out the survey, we would greatly appreciate it. I think, Leila, you can put a link in the chat as well. Thank you. So that you can click on it and take it immediately. And so as a wrap up, I think we certainly want to thank you for all your time today. We do have a few minutes, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes for additional questions, if anybody has any. I don't see any in the chat or any hands up. I just strongly encourage you to stay in contact with us to the point of communication. It is vital. And so we hope that we can get additional resources, communication and otherwise, out to everyone. Thank you so much for attending today. We appreciate your time. Hope that you will get involved with the Southwest Sustainability Innovation Engine. And with that, we can give you back a few minutes of your day. So thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Mike and Leila and Bryce, for helping support this particular session.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks. Have a great afternoon. All right.